Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you would do me a favor, please like, subscribe, comment, share the YouTube channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so anything will help. But here's where we'll start. A game doesn't always have to be high scoring to be a good game. Sometimes you can have great defensive battles. And now I understand when you look at some NFL games and you see a score that's like 10-3, it's just like, geez. But there are times when there are really good games that don't really particularly have a high score for those games. And then it brings me to Thursday Night Football. So Thursday Night Football happened. The Green Bay Packers handed the Cardinals their first loss of the season with a score of 24-21. Now, this was an ugly game on every sense of the word. You had pretty much all the top receivers from Devontae Adams, Lazard, and Valdez-Scantling. They were all out for the Packers. And for the Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins was dealing with a hamstring injury, and he was out of the lineup majority of the game. Even though he did have a really big play the first quarter, he was out majority of the game. Recent news, J.J. Watt's out for the season with pretty much a torn arm, pretty much. There were players getting injured left and right. Robert Tonyan, I hope that he gets better. Robert Tonyan went out. There was a player that went out for a defensive player a special teams player that went out for both the Packers and the Arizona Cardinals. So it was a sloppy game, but it wasn't sloppy because the teams aren't good. I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably had hit one of his worst throwing days since game one. He threw 22 to 37 for 184 yards with 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray 22 for 33, 274 yards, but he had no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It was a sloppy game, but here's the reason why I thought it was a really good game. Because this was a tall tale. This was a tall tale. This was a defining game for both teams. And what do you mean by that? Now, I understand it's the start of week 8. So I'm not saying that these are going to shape these teams, but what I'm saying is we're pretty much in the middle of the season. And you're starting to understand who your team is, who your team's going to be. That's why I'm so high on the Cardinals. A little later in the show, I'm going to do my top 10 team or NFL teams so far, and just to spoil it, the Cardinals are going to be on the list. Let me start with the Cardinals. Like I said, J.J. Watt, while he wasn't having the most standout breakout season for the Cardinals, he was important for leadership, and he made big plays when he needed to. So the fact that he will not be here for the rest of the season, I wanted to see how the Cardinals were going to respond. Also, DeAndre Hopkins has been dealing with a hamstring injury pretty much the entire week, and both of these teams are coming off it's Thursday Night Football, so it's an early week. The Cardinals were going into the game. The Cardinals were 7-0, and Kyler Murray was playing at an all-time high. He's in my opinion the front runner for MVP at this point. Thursday may change, or Thursday night game may have changed a little bit, but Kyler Murray has had an incredible season. And when I say that this game is a defining game for both the Packers and the Cardinals, let me put aside what AJ Green did. I think that at the end of the game, the Packers gave them a shot to win, and all AJ Green had to do was turn around and catch the ball, but he didn't. I think we all have blunders, we all mess up. I did think that cost him the game, but I didn't think that was the whole reason why. I mean, Kyler Murray didn't have his best game. Like I said, he didn't have a passing touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions. So I'm not saying that it's just AJ Green. I do think that was a pivotal play. And because AJ Green didn't turn around in the end zone, it was picked to seal the game. But this is why I say it's a defining game for the Cardinals. Now you want to see how they move going forward. I mean, the team is used to, at least this season, the team is used to winning. They're 7-0. And some teams, once they get their first sense of, once they get their first taste of a loss or once they get their first taste of adversity, some teams fold. Now it's a different circumstance, but look at the Carolina Panthers. Look at the Broncos. Now again, all three from Cardinals, Broncos, and Carolina, three completely different teams. So I'm not putting the Cardinals in that box. But what I'm saying is both the Broncos and the Panthers were 3-0. They sit here today, they've lost 4 straight. And while I don't predict that for the Cardinals, I do want to see how they bounce back. Kyler Murray didn't have his best game. James Conner had a really good game, but I want to see how somebody that I think is the leading front runner for the MVP, I want to see how he bounced back. I want to see how this team bounced back. This is their first quote-unquote test of adversity. Now, some people want to say, well, this is the first time they played a good team. That is not the case at all. Like, that's nowhere close to true. Because let's look at their games. They played. The reason why I think that is that they played the Tennessee Titans. They played the Rams. They played the 49ers. They played the Cleveland Browns. So no, this isn't their first test of adversity because all the teams are good teams. I want to see how they move forward. I want to see how the team responds. Now, I know they have a favorable matchup. Well, I'm not going to say favorable, but the next game is the San Francisco 49ers, and they're going through a lot right now. So, yeah, man, I think that this game was important, Now, unless you just go undefeated, let me kind of make a comparison. If you're gonna go undefeated, right, which has not been done since the Dolphins in like the 70s, if you're gonna go undefeated, then go undefeated. If you're gonna go undefeated, do what you got to do. Take it home. You know what I mean? That's everyone's goal is to win every game, of course. But if you're gonna go undefeated, go undefeated. If you're going to lose a game, it's good that you either lose in the beginning of the season. Like look at the Packers. They lost week 1 and they run 7 straight. You want to lose in the middle of the season. But you do not want to lose really towards the end or in the playoffs, of course. And this is where I want to compare it. I want to compare the Cardinals to the 2015 Carolina Panthers. That Panthers team was wiping out everybody. Cam Newton was the MVP. Their defense was incredible with Luke Kuechly and Davis. Greg Olsen was the tight end. That team was incredible. That team was led by Cam in the defense. It was great. And what you saw from that team is you didn't see much adversity. Now, yeah, they had some close games. They had some games where they had to come back. They had some games that they had to win with a last second field goal. And they lost towards the end of the season to the Atlanta Falcons, I believe. But it was one of those games where, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose. That's why I said you do not want to lose towards the end of the season, especially when you're on a roll. Because, and my philosophy is, you want to know the type of team that you are. Now, yes, they did make it to the Super Bowl. But I feel that loss, if that loss would have been the beginning of the season or a little bit towards the middle of the season, I think that the team would have been better equipped to deal with that type of loss. To me, it's hard losing and then going not now. I think they played a game after and then went straight to the playoffs. And I think they probably would have fared better in the Super Bowl. It's like you want to again, back to the Cardinals. I want to see how they bounce back from this. I'm not saying they're going to fall off a cliff. I do think that they're one of the best teams in the league. I think that, due to, getting adjusted and DeAndre Hopkins not being there, even though, he does have really good receivers like AJ Green, like Kirk, when it's a different feeling having that security blanket, having that number one receiver. That's why if you look, and we'll talk about Green Bay in a second, but Aaron Rodgers looked completely different without Devontae Adams. Now, yes, he also didn't have Lazard and Valdez-Scantling, but not having your number one receiver, it changes things. Even if you have a really good run game, even if you look at Ryan Tannehill this year. Ryan Tannehill has not looked the best when, AJ Green or Julio Jones is out. I could both kind of consider them the number one receiver. I probably, for the Titans, probably A.J. Brown, seeing though he has more of a relationship with Ryan Tannehill. But they look completely different. Or Ryan Tannehill looks completely different. Any quarterback will look completely different without their number one option. So with DeAndre Hopkins going in and out the lineup on Thursday, I think that definitely has had a reason why Kyler Murray just kind of looked off. I mean, again, no touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So let's go on the Green Bay side. And this is why I think that this was a big game for Green Bay. As I just stated, Aaron Rodgers, the connection that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams has is second to none, pretty much. They have probably one of the best connections in the league. And I say that because anytime you need a big drive, anytime you need a big catch, anytime a big play needs to be had, Aaron Rodgers looks and usually passes to Devontae Adams. And it wasn't just, like I said, it wasn't just Devontae Adams was out with COVID protocol. Valdez-Scantling was out. Lazard was out. Zadarius Smith is still out. Jalen Smith was out. There was a lot of players out, and of course we know about the kick returner who hopefully he's okay. He got out, or he was out and had to get carted off. So I hope nothing but a speedy recovery for him. But Green Bay doesn't usually win these games. They don't usually win the slug it out games. They don't usually win the games where they're the underdogs. They're badly undermanned. They don't really use this. Is why I said this game. And if you go back, they don't really win these slugfest games. Now, I'm not calling this definitely a slugfest, but this wasn't the high scoring game that Green Bay wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. Or the finesse pass everywhere game. They had, A.J. Dillon was big in this game. Aaron Jones was big. Now we can talk about the 1 yard line touchdown that was taken back, and it definitely played a pivotal part at the end of the game. But we don't need to talk about that. This was a big game because this is a game where Green Bay should have lost. You were in Arizona going up against the Cardinals, an undefeated team. You were badly undermanned. You were underdogs. You should have lost this game. This is one of those games where if you would have lost the game, nobody really would have been upset because you would have understood. Like, you could have fallen back on, well, our whole wide receiver core pretty much was out. I was playing, the wide receivers that were playing were people that I wasn't really familiar with outside of Randall Cobb. Robert Tonyan got hurt, and I hope that he comes back healthy. All the excuses were there, and nobody would have been upset, except maybe the media pundits. Skip Bayless may have had something to say. Colin Cowherd may have something to say. But this is one of those games you were supposed to win. And the fact that Aaron Rodgers came clutch at the end, and actually, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that the defense stepped up. And that's one thing that hasn't been said pretty much this whole season, is the defense stepped up for Green Bay, which is another reason why I think this is a big win. You expect Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers, and they're at the 1 yard line and tried to pass the ball at 4th down, and it got batted down. So Aaron Rodgers did not come clutch like he was supposed to. It was the defense that had the late interception, even though I do think a lot of that was because what's his name, AJ Green just didn't turn around. But this was a big game. This was a big game, and the defense came big. Now I'm not negating Aaron Rodgers. He had two incredible passes, touchdown passes to Randall Cobb. Robert Tonyan had a big play or a couple big plays before he got hurt. Uh, it was a good game and a defining game for both games. For the Arizona Cardinals, I want to see how they do move forward. You got your first taste of adversity, first loss. I'm not gonna say first taste of adversity because there were a couple games. I think the Tennessee game they were down big and came back and won, but this is the first time you're tasting loss this season. So I want to see how you do move forward. I think this was a big game for Green Bay because they had every excuse in the world to lose this game, and they could have lost and probably should have lost, and they didn't. They came big defensively. They made the plays when they needed to make the plays. And even their blunders, the touchdown getting called back or not scoring. I think they went to there was like 2 or 3 times they were in the red zone and got no points out of it. So, which means that the game could have been a lot more comfortable for the Green Bay Packers. So, this was a big game. It was a good game. It was exciting to see. This is one of those Thursday night football games. Those games in the middle of the week, the Thursday night football games, they're usually not the best because, they're the games that they think aren't going to be good because they put them on NFL Network. It was the Rams, the game that Russell Wilson hurt his finger. That was, of course, you're going to put the Rams and Seahawks on Thursday Night Football on Fox. You're going to get the A team, Buck and Troy Aikman. And then, of course, this game was really good. So I'm excited to see how they do or what happens with Green Bay and what happens to the Cardinals moving forward. And it was a good game. So the Green Bay Packers beat the Cardinals 24-21, handing the Cardinals their first loss. So moving forward, like I said, I'm going to give my top 10 teams of the season. We're pretty much halfway towards the season, or we're a little over halfway in the season, and or a little under because week 8, 17. We're a tad bit under. We're pretty much at the halfway point of the season. And I wanted to give my top 10 teams. Now, are these going to be the teams? I think that these are going to be the teams that we pretty much look out for the rest of the season. Because once you get to week 8, once you get to week 9, you pretty much know who you are. Outside of some teams that, may have a star coming back or may have lost a star due to injury, you pretty much know who you are. And you pretty much know what you're going to be moving forward. So these, and I'm not saying that the list can't change or the order can't change throughout the season, but you pretty much know who you are. So let's start with number 10. Number 10, I have the Cleveland Browns. Now, when you hear it, you be like, oh, wow, top 10, yeah. But no, look, I think Cleveland has underachieved this year. I think they've underachieved drastically. Now, this isn't a list to bash people or bash teams, but I think Cleveland has underachieved. I think that Cleveland, going into the season, everyone knew that if you really look on paper, they have the best roster. They have the biggest and best name. Well, they have the best names on defense. They undoubtedly have the best offensive line in the league. And what the narrative and what we were saying, as I guess you can call me, am I a media pundit? I don't know. But what people were saying going into the season, including myself, was this team is going to go as far as Baker Mayfield takes them. This team is good. You had Odell Beckham coming back, even though when he came back and now he doesn't look the same. But Jarvis Landry was there. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. They have a team. And while, yes, being top 10, in my opinion, is still good, but this team should be better than 10. Baker Mayfield has had big moments, but then he's come short in a lot of them. Now he is hurt right now, so see what happens when he comes back. But even though Case Keenum looks pretty much just like he looked, and it's gonna, I think a lot of questions and I'm not gonna say questions, a lot of stories are gonna come are going to be made if and I'll do my predictions in a minute. But if the Cleveland Browns beat the Steelers without Baker Mayfield on Sunday, I think the stories are going to run rampant about, should Case Keenum start over Baker Mayfield? Is Baker Mayfield the future? That's going to happen. That's going to happen if a Case Keenum led Browns beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I will say that they have been good this year, and I just feel they've underachieved. I mean, they're 4-3. This team should not be 4-3. This team is too good to be 4-3. But they still have done enough, in my opinion, to land on the list. So I have the Cleveland Browns at number 10. At number 9, I have Tennessee. It's hard for me to get out of my head that Jets loss. That's just tough. Their defense is good. No, it's not. Let me say that. Their defense is average. Now, there have been times where their defense has played above asking price, and that was against the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs have been struggling, but the Tennessee Titans defense has been good. Of course, Derrick Henry is having yet another Derrick Henry season. He has there's a very good chance that he breaks the rushing record. Ryan Tannehill, while he hasn't had the best season, I think that's because A.J. Brown has been in and out of the lineup and their connection, and as well as Julio Jones. So I think this is a good team. This is a team that could make noise in the playoffs. It's just you don't know what you're gonna get out of their defense. You do not know what you're gonna get because, again, it's hard for me, and it's not just the defense. It's hard for me to look at the Tennessee Titans and not see that loss against the Jets. Now, I understand it's any given Sunday, but it's the Jets. The same Jets that just had 54 put on their head by Mac Jones, who by any metrics has had an average year this year as a rookie. So I have the Tennessee Titans at 9. They have, you have the best running back in the league. They have all the components to be a better team than number 9. It's just you don't know what you're going to get from them week after week. You know what you're going to get from Vrabel, their Mike Vrabel, I'm sorry, their coach. But you don't know what you're going to get from the team week after week outside of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's, which is funny. I was talking, I think in a barbershop the other day. Derrick Henry is the only person that, if we just look at fantasy, Derrick Henry is the only person that he'll go into halftime with like 3 or 5 fantasy points. And then by the end of the game, he'll have 30, 39. Like, dog, what the hell? Like, that's just Derrick Henry. That's the impact that he has. So I have Tennessee at number 9. At number 8, and probably the biggest shock to me this year, is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I didn't have a doubt that Joe Burrow was going to be good. I know a lot of people were saying, well, LSU and his offensive coordinator and, the people that he had with him as far as he had, it wasn't just Joe Burrow, even though he was the cap to that incredible season for LSU, or he was the glue, but you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you had Justin Jefferson, you had Jamar Chase, you had an incredible defense. A lot of people were saying that they don't know if Joe Burrow, even before that year, he had a horrible season at LSU. So a lot of people didn't know if, Joe Burrow's talents were going to translate into a successful NFL career. And the reason why I have them at 8 is because I did not see this coming. I knew that they could be good. What I saw his rookie year before he got hurt, what I saw from Joe Burrow, I knew they could be good. I knew Joe Burrow was going to be good in this league. And I also knew Jamar Chase was going to be good in this league, even though he looked horrible, and the turbulence he had in the offseason and preseason with catching the ball. I still knew Jamar Chase. There's no way that a player with his attributes, with his talent, could not be good. I knew that. I just didn't think they were going to click this fast. I didn't think that, Cincinnati was going to be this good this fast. And the thing that was holding them back, the thing that's has been holding them back for a while was their defense and their offensive line. Now, while their offensive line still isn't that good, and I still stand by my thing. Now, I will say this. I understand, and I've said this time and time again, I understand why you would pick a Jamar Chase. You saw the connection that they had in college between him and Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase was the best rookie wide receiver, and you want the explosive plays. But it's it's tough. It's tough looking at seeing what you're seeing from Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and think, I still would have took an offensive lineman. That's pretty much the old grandpa-ness, but you can still see Joe Burrow be getting crushed. It's just he's that good, and he just keeps bouncing up, and I don't know how many times that's going to happen. I don't wish injury upon anybody, which is why, Rashawn Slater has had an incredible year for the Chargers, and I would think, I'm just saying. But Cincinnati, and another reason why I have them at 8 is because their defense. Their defense has usually been their Achilles heel, especially last year. Actually, the last few years, their defense has not been that good. And especially against like teams like Baltimore, they've been big. Their defense has been big. Their defense has shut down some pretty good teams. I mean, you already have a win in your division over the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You already have a win in your division over the Ravens. So I didn't think that this team was going to be this. I knew they could be good because you get a healthy Joe Burrow. T. Higgins is still there. Tyler Boyd is still there. Joe Mixon's still there, and of course Jamar Chase. We knew offensively they were going to be good. I just didn't know they were going to be this good defensively, and I have the Cincinnati Bengals at number 8. The reason why I have them low is because, their offensive line is still a problem, and I want to see again. I want to see what they look like towards the end of the season. As far as, I'm not saying they're going to fall off a cliff, but can this defense still maintain? I think I have no fear, which I hope this doesn't happen, but unless Joe Burrow gets hurt, I have no fear that the offense is going to maintain. I mean, when you have some of the players that they have on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to be good. It's just is the defense going to be able to hold up, and is that offensive line is still not the best, but are they going to be able to be big in big moments? So I have or bigger moments moving towards the end of the season. So I have Cincinnati at 8. At number 7, I have Dallas. In all actuality, Dallas can go up. It's just, I think that there are times when while Dallas, and I guess you are your record, but while Dallas is 5-1, they can very well be 4-3 or they could be 3-4. It's just they've played a favorable schedule, and they should have lost to the Chargers. They should have lost to, there was another team that they just played overtime. I'll get it when they come back to me. But putting all that aside, man, Dallas has been a great team. You're 5-1. They've been a great team. Dak Prescott, more than in my opinion, is kind of running away with the comeback player of the year. CeeDee Lamb has been really good. Amari Cooper has been good. Ezekiel Elliott, who had a bad year last year, he's been really good. It's just, the only thing that's holding Dallas back on is their defense. Their defense is really good. The only thing that's holding Dallas back is Mike McCarthy and his coaching methods. I don't know, his clock management. I don't know what the hell Mike McCarthy be doing, but Dallas looks like a complete team outside of the head coach. They look like a complete team. Trayvon Diggs could possibly win Defensive Player of the Year with all the interceptions that he has. Man, Van Der Esch looks good. DeMarcus Lawrence while he's injured. Randy Gregory. It's just, this team looks good. Micah Parsons looks good. So it's surprising because we're not really used to Dallas looking this good, and we're always, I guess the joke, the running joke is, they're gonna fall, they're gonna collapse at the worst time. I mean, you hear Stephen A. Smith say it all the time, and we've seen in the last few years they could be close to a championship, or they could be close to being a really good team, and they'll lose some big games, which you haven't, or they'll lose games that they shouldn't lose, or the whole Dez is it a catch thing. We haven't seen that this year. In fact, this year, the time that they were usually supposed to lose, or the time that you usually would be used to them losing, they haven't. Dak Prescott has been a top 5 quarterback, maybe top 7 in my opinion. The defense has been a top defense. The running game, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard have been incredible. Dallas can very well make some noise enough towards the end of the season to be a Super Bowl contention. And that's hard to say, but it's true. So I have Dallas at number 7. At number 6, I have Baltimore, which is surprising to me. Now, I understand people, again, it was one game. It was when people were talking about, wait, they just got destroyed by Cincinnati. There's every team has that game, and I talked about last episode, every team has that game where they just get destroyed. Last year, the Bucks got destroyed by the Saints. This year, the Packers got destroyed by the Saints. The Saints got destroyed. Like, every team has that game where they just get destroyed. Like, and I'm not gonna say destroyed as far as the score, but they would just get completely outmatched. Hell, last year, the Chiefs got completely outmatched. It was by the Raiders. So it happens. It happens. The reason why I have the Baltimore number 6 is, while it's hard for me to, for 2 reasons. One, I think Lamar Jackson is a high candidate for MVP for what he's done with this team, and the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are 4-2 right now. Is big. Now, they are on a bye week, but I just think that this team is gritty, and this team, when you're dealing with the amount of injuries that they're dealing with from in key position, the running back position. Now, for some teams, an injury to the running back position wouldn't be big, but for a team like the Ravens that built their whole game around running, that's huge. So when J.K. Dobbins, when Gus Edwards, when they go out, it's big. Now, Devontae Freeman has been good. Le'Veon Bell has been good. Latavius Murray has been good. But, you have a game plan around J.K. and Gus, and they go out. And then on the defensive side, oh, hell, they lost linemen. They lost Marcus Peters. So the reason why I have them at 6, though, is, one, they've been incredible. I mean, the game against the Colts was big for Lamar Jackson. Mostly it's because of Lamar Jackson. I believe in Lamar Jackson. I think that a lot of the criticism that we've gotten, or that Lamar Jackson has received over the years, whether it's, he's not a good passer, he can't throw the ball deep, if a team takes away his running option or his ability to run, how is he going to win passing the ball? He's dispelled that. I mean, he has a 400-plus yard passing game. He has 300-plus yard passing game. Lamar Jackson has dispelled that. The reason why I have them at 6, though, and it's hard for me to put them up higher, is because it's hard, just like it's hard for me to see a lot of things, it's hard for me to forget the fact that this defense has got 500-plus yards put up on them twice this year. Once was against the Colts and Carson Wentz. Another one was on Sunday against Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's hard. Any team that allows multiple teams to put up 500-plus yards on you, it's hard for me to put them in the Super Bowl category. But it's like you can't really have it both ways, man. But both things can be true. Let me say this. Yes, they're dealing with a lot of injuries, both on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of players that are playing that probably had no shot to play if everyone was healthy. So I understand that. But then I also understand you can't say, hey, it's the defense. I mean, it's all these injuries' fault, and then go out and destroy the Chargers or have a big win against the Colts or have a big win against the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't really have it both ways. But both things can be true. I'm saying you can't have it both ways because people are going to say, hey, you can't say, the Ravens struggle because of all this injury, but they're beating big teams. I would combat by saying, yeah, but do you see what Lamar Jackson's doing? I'm not saying it's all on Lamar Jackson. I think the Chargers win was mostly on that defense. The defense was incredible during the Chargers game. They haven't really been incredible anywhere else but the Chargers game. But I do think that, if they get, I trust Lamar. I think Lamar Jackson has been huge in big moments. Pretty much he's improved his entire career. So I have Baltimore at 6. At 5, I have Green Bay. It's great. I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers. That's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers still is he's one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. He's still a top quarterback in this league. Devontae Adams is still, that duo is good. Aaron Jones is still good. The defense, while Zendarius Smith being out is huge, their defense has a bend not break mentality. The reason why I have them at 5 though is I've seen, it. To me, they're a little too reliant still on Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Wow, and that's no offense to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones still does his thing, but you see on Thursday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers' connection, while he's still an incredible quarterback, his connection with a lot of the other receivers is not as good as you would hope it to. Or hell, Amari Rodgers, it's not funny, but who is it? Fox is wrong for this. Amari Rodgers, he had a play where he should have, instead of going up, he should have went out to the flats. Aaron Rodgers, and he missed a big play. And there was another receiver that they were driving and they had all the momentum, and he missed a first down play. It went right through his hands, or he dropped it, and that just changed the whole momentum. What Fox did. Let's go back to the Amari Rodgers play. Amari Rodgers, that pretty much would have solidified, that drive. It was a big drive. He missed it. I don't think he played the rest of the game. This was in the early to middle of the third quarter. I don't think Amari Rodgers played the rest of the game, and Fox kept putting him on the camera. I'm like, why y'all doing this? But I just think that they're a little too reliant on the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams connection. Also, I don't know if their defense will be able to hold up as far as in big moments. Now, they did against the Cardinals, but I do think a lot of that was because A.J. Green didn't turn around. I think if A.J. Green turned around, the narrative the whole conversation around Thursday Night Football would have been completely different. The Green Bay Packers would have lost. That would have been their second loss of the year, and the Cardinals would have been 8-0. That AJ didn't turn around. Kyler had 2 interceptions. Bada bing, bada boom. So I think that their team is going to make some noise, and they're going to have something to say about who goes to the playoff. Who goes to the Super Bowl, but it's still Aaron Rodgers. It's still Devontae Adams. It's still Aaron Jones. Matt LaFleur has been good. So I have Green Bay at number 5. Number 4, I have LA Rams. Matthew Stafford has been incredible this year. Matthew Stafford could be MVP in the MVP discussion. He's been good. The problem with the Rams is their defense has not been good. I'm not going to say at all, but their defense has not been good. Aaron Donald has been good. Jalen Ramsey has been good. The rest of the defense has not really been good. Now, the Rams are still They're still 6-1. A lot of that is because Matthew Stafford has been great. Cooper Kupp has been incredible. That offense has been good. Sean McVay. That offense has been really good. And you're starting to see, and the trade is just that much bigger. How different this Rams team looks, which didn't have a lot of changes outside of the quarterback position, how different it looks with Matthew Stafford at the controls and compared to Jared Goff. And then you're seeing what's happening with the Lions. While it's not all Jared Goff is a big reason why the Lions have not won a game this year. So the Rams, I mean, that's why a lot of people had them top of the NFC West. That's why a lot of people had them in the Super Bowl. They looked good. Now, I think the reason why I have them at 4 is because that defense is not good, man. They've been better over the past few weeks. I will give them that. Their defense has improved over the last few weeks, but outside of Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, they haven't really been good. They give up a lot of points in the air when Jalen Ramsey's not the target. It's of course you're still triple teaming Aaron Donald, which I think is insane, but that's what he commands. So it's hard for me to put them above 4, even though it's still high. But it's hard for me to put them above 4 because of how bad, and I mean bad, their defense has looked. Again, it's gotten better over the weeks, but outside of Donald and Ramsey, their defense does not look good, but their offense has looked great. Now, they did have they did have a bad game against, or the Cardinals. They did lose against the Cardinals, and there was another, the Detroit they could have lost. But Matthew Stafford has been good. Cooper Kupp has been really good. Cooper Kupp is actually, if you put the numbers next to me, Cooper Kupp has actually been a top 5 receiver in this league this year, which is I'm not saying that's crazy, but I wouldn't when we talk about the best receivers in the league, Cooper Kupp does not come to mind, but he has been this year. I'm not taking that away from him. So shouts out to Cooper Kupp, and I have the Rams at 4. And number 3, I have Tampa Bay. I have Tampa Bay at number 3 is because they're dealing with a lot of injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball, on the corner, and especially with the corners. But you have Tom Brady. They're also dealing with Antonio Brown, who's injured too, so we have to monitor that. But Tom Brady's having probably one of the best statistics. In fact, he's having his best season as far as touchdowns go. He just threw a 600 touchdown last week. I just think that the biggest indictment and problem with this team is the cornerback position, because they're so thin. Most of their cornerbacks are hurt. A lot of teams are beating them in the air. Now, they're not winning because you're going up against you're going up against Tom Brady in that incredible offense, whether it's Mike Evans catching a bunch of. Chris Godwin's had a quiet season, and he is one of their better receivers. Gronk has been out, and it looks like he's coming back to practice. So O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate has been good. So Leonard Fournette has been good. So, it's Tampa Bay, reigning Super Bowl champions. It's Tampa Bay. I have them at 3. Number 2, I have Buffalo. At number 2. I think that their defense is starting to catch up with their offense, and that's been their biggest problem. When you have an offense led by Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, their defense has been their problem for probably the last 2-3 years, and now you're starting to see them catch up. You saw the demolition job they did since week 1, and now they did lose to the Tennessee Titans. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, which I'm not gonna say it was huge. It was a good game, but I think it was if Josh Allen didn't slip at the 1 yard line, they would have won. But the Bills have been good. I'm not going to. I need to see a little bit more decline before I change my opinion about the Bills. And I think that right now right now it's kind of a competition between them and the Ravens as the best team in the AFC. Oh, and the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not going to disrespect the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, the Ravens, and the Bills right now for the best teams in the AFC. So I have the Bills at number 2. And number 1, even though they lost on Thursday night, number 1 I have Arizona Cardinals. They're 8-1. 7-1. Again, if it wasn't for AJ Green not turning around, if it wasn't for if it wasn't for J.J. Watt not being there, I think that now again, I know you record your record, but I think that the Cardinals have been incredible this entire year, and they had every chance to win on Thursday. They just didn't. They beat big teams. They beat the Rams. They beat the teams that you would expect them. This is the week they're going to struggle. And they've been good. Kyler Murray still is leading. I don't think that Thursday night game dethroned him off of being the lead or the front runner for MVP. I do want to see I do want to see what happens this or on Sunday. So I'm really looking carefully at some of these games, and especially next week. Because I want to see, right now to me, it's a 3-man race. It's a 3-man race, in my opinion, between Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. While I don't think you're going to see a lot of surprising stuff from the Bills going against the Dolphins, I do want to see, moving forward, Week 9. Let me see. Week 9, I want to see the Ravens, how the Ravens look against the Vikings. So, yeah, though that's I still have. Kirk has been good. Rondell Moore has been good. Chase Edmonds has been good. James Conner has been good. Zach Ertz has been good, even though he's been there for 2 games. You still have DeAndre Hopkins. I do want to see what happens with that hamstring injury. I think, that he definitely needs to nurse that and see how that goes, but everyone's pretty much been good for this team. Their defense has been really good, even without J.J. Watt now. Simmons has been good. Man, Chandler Jones was flying all over the place on Thursday night. So, right, so my top 10 is the Arizona Cardinals, Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Los Angeles Rams, Green Bay Packers, Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Cowboys, Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Titans, and Cleveland Browns. What's your 10? Or who do you have a problem with in my top 10? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. But that's my top 10. Let me hear your top 10. Let me hear your top 5. Who do you think is the best team in the league? Who do you think will be the best team in the league at the end of the season? Let's talk about it. But moving forward, let me give my week 8 predictions. So you have Cincinnati at the Jets. I don't think we need that much analysis. I underestimated Cincinnati Bengals before when they went up against the Lions. I said this was going to be the Lions. That was going to be the Lions' first win against Cincy. Cincy destroyed them. Even though they're playing in New York, I don't see anything different. Cincinnati, to me, is going to destroy, especially, I don't even know if Zach Wilson's going to be playing. So I have Cincinnati destroying the Jets. Titans at Colts. This is a big game. This is a big game because the Colts are kind of rolling right now. And Tennessee Titans, they're coming off a big win against the Chiefs. And Colts are at home. But they're playing a dome, so the weather, but they're still at home. I'm going to go with the Colts. I'm going to go with the Colts because of the home court advantage. Both teams, I think, are rolling right now. I think, of course, anytime you play against the Tennessee Titans, the goal is to slow down or minimize Derrick Henry. You're not going to stop him. So to slow him down, minimize him, let's make sure he doesn't have the biggest game of his life, which could happen. I have the Colts winning that. And I think Carson Wentz has played good enough not to lose them games. And this defense is still good with DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard. I'm gonna go with the Colts beating the Titans. Rams at Texans. It's the Rams and the Texans. Well, I can't say that though because the Rams struggled against the Lions last week. Now I understand it was Matthew Stafford playing his own team. Uh, I understand the emotional high or the emotional rush that you get, but no, the Titans are probably going to get destroyed. So I have the Rams winning that. Huge, 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 huge. Probably the biggest game of the week. This week is Steelers at Browns. This is huge for a lot of reasons. You know what? The stories that are going to come out if Case Keenum and the Browns beat the Steelers. This also has, even though they're 4-3 and the Steelers are 3-3, this has big implications towards the bottom of the AFC West. No, I'm sorry, AFC North. I have the Steelers. I just think that defense, TJ Watt's going to be incredible. It really depends on Big Ben. That's how most of these Steelers games are. These if they had a better quarterback, man, and a quarterback that could consistently throw the ball downfield, this team would not be 3-3, especially with how good the defense is. So, but I think that not having Baker Mayfield and having Case Keenum, honestly, this is a pick'em game. This is a pick'em game for me, and I'm just gonna go with the Steelers because they have their defense is better than. I don't know though. It's tough. Again, it's a pick'em game because I can very well see the Steelers losing this game. Like, and the Browns still have a really good defense with Myles Garrett. I can see it. So, but I'm gonna go with the Steelers. But I would not be surprised if I'm wrong. Eagles at Lions. Lions are winning this game. The Lions are not going to go 0-7. The Lions are going to win this game. The Eagles, they just lay a lot of eggs. Even though they're 2-5, they lay a lot of eggs. The Lions are going to win this game. This is the game where Jared Goff rises up and wins this game. Boom. I have no faith in that. I have no faith in that pick, bro. Oh, Jesus. But then it's unfortunate. It's crazy that even if I would have picked the Eagles, I have no faith in that pick either. I would only be picking the Eagles because of Jalen Hurts and because they have 2 wins compared to the Lions 0. I think, as crazy as it sounds, I think the Lions are better coached with Dan Campbell over Nick Sirianni. The Lions are winning this game. 49ers at Bears. I don't know. That's another pick'em game, but it's not for like the best reasons. It's kind of like the Eagles, man, but not in the same level. The 49ers, they have underachieved drastically this year, in my opinion. Going into you saw how much I was gushing over this team as far as their roster. I think they had the best roster in the league. It's just they haven't played like it. Like it's been pretty bad. And I think it does start with, the health to either Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo had probably one of his, if not the worst game he's had in his career on was it Sunday? Yeah, in the rain, or Monday or whatever. It was horrible against the Colts. It was bad. I think it was Monday Night Football actually. And I don't. But on the flip side, Justin Fields has been horrible, like horrible. So I'm going to go with the 49ers just because of how bad Justin Fields looked last week. While Justin Fields and Jimmy Garoppolo looked horrible last week, Justin Fields looked a lot worse. And I know that's tough to say, but that's what it is. So I have the 49ers win this game because I don't know. Atlanta at the Panthers. This game is actually a lot closer than I would imagine. Now, for people have been coming at my neck ever since I said I was wrong about Matt Ryan, and I kind of was killing Matt Ryan. Like, look at his record. This is another week in a row that he's great. Like, you're wrong. You're not even watching the games, bro. Give me a second, because I'm going to dispel something. For people that's saying that Matt Ryan has just been a godsend, right? For people that's saying Matt Ryan has just been a godsend, let me show you Let me explain to you the last few teams that Matt Ryan has played against. For the people that's saying I was drastically wrong about Matt Ryan, in the 3 games that they've won, right? The three games that the Falcons have won. For people that's coming to me saying that I was wrong about Matt Ryan, they beat the Giants. They beat the Jets by only 7, by the way. And they beat the Dolphins without their 2 best corners. Let me tell you who they lost to. They lost to the Eagles 6-32. They lost to Tampa Bay 48-25 after Matt Ryan threw 2 straight pick sixes. I'm not going to say 2 straight, but he threw 2 pick sixes to the same person. And they lost to the Washington football team, a team that hasn't been able to get it right at home. So for the people telling me, "Oh, I was wrong about Matt Ryan." No, I wasn't. Matt Ryan has been garbage this year. Yeah, he's putting a lot of passing points, or he's putting up a lot of yards passing. But look who's against. I will say Kyle Pitts has been good. I will give it to him. Kyle Pitts has been good when they give him the ball. Calvin Ridley, he's been in a funk all year, but looks like the last week, game or two, he's kind of bounced back. But I think this is a lot. This game is a lot bigger for the Panthers than it is for the Falcons. I think that Sam Darnold, a lot of people, people are starting to have a lot of Sam Darnold's starting to look like the Sam Darnold of old. And you've lost 4 straight. You want to get back on the winning circle, and you're going up against a team whose defense is still not good at all. So I think this could be the year, or this could be the game that Sam Darnold bounces back. So I have the Panthers winning this game away. I just think the game is too big for Sam Darnold, and I think the defense, the Panthers defense is still good. It's just they haven't been able to match the productivity, or the offense has not been able to match the productivity of the defense. And I think Robert Anderson hasn't even been playing well. I don't know if it's because of the shortcomings of Sam Darnold or what, but yeah. The Dolphins at Bills. I mean, again, the Dolphins. No, didn't they lose? Yeah, no. The Dolphins. You're going up against the best team in the AFC right now, or one of the best teams in the AFC. No, I have the Bills winning that. Patriots at Chargers. I have the Chargers. I just think Justin Herbert is going to outshine the Patriots defense, and as we know, the Patriots win games by running the ball. If the Chargers can stop the run, and the Chargers are a really good team, I think they'll be able to and limit Mac Jones, which isn't really that hard to do. I have the Chargers winning that. Seahawks at Jags. The only reason why I have the Seahawks winning that is because the Jags are horrible. But I actually think that's going to be a shootout because the Seahawks defense is horrible. We know what Geno Smith is. So I have the Seahawks winning that game, and the Seahawks are at home. That's the only reason. All right. So the Washington football team and Broncos. This game is huge for Washington. If you can't beat the Broncos, and that's no offense to the Broncos, actually that is offense to the Broncos. The Broncos are losers of 4 straight. Teddy Bridgewater hasn't played well in these 4 games. The defense hasn't played well. Von Miller, I think, is hurt. If you can't win this, then it don't matter. It don't matter, bro. So I think I'm gonna go with Washington because to me, you have to win this game. You have to win this game. Everything is supposed to be in your favor. Again, you're coming now, even though you have lost a few straight as well, you're coming against a team, You're going up against a team that's not explosive, so you don't really have to worry about the deep ball. You're not a team that isn't the best at running the ball, so you don't have to worry about that. They're really calling Carter's defense. So you got. I understand it's at Mile High, but you gotta win that game. So I have the Washington winning against the Broncos. Buccaneers at Saints. I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't. It's Tom Brady. It's the Bucks. Against Jameis Winston, I just got the Bucks. Cowboys at Vikings. This is Monday night or Sunday Night Football. I have the Cowboys. I don't think the Vikings defense will be able to stop the high-powered offense that the Cowboys have. And I don't think that Kirk Cousins can kind of go score for score with Dak Prescott. So I have the Cowboys. And the Chiefs, the Giants at Chiefs Monday Night Football. If the Chiefs don't win this game, then you can just kiss their playoffs goodbye. Like, if you can't beat a Giants team that has injuries across the board, and we don't even know if Saquon Barkley's playing. If you can't win that game, then I don't know what to say. I don't know that you can just cool it on them making it to the playoffs. So it's already kind of iffy if they're going to make it right now. But if you lose to the Giants, yeah, nah. And this is one of those gimme. This is the game where you're supposed to throttle them, especially after the struggles that you've been dealing with. This is the game where you're supposed to like get the train back on the tracks. And if you don't, then hey. But those are my predictions. Let me know whoever your favorite team is. Let me know who you think is going to win. And we'll talk about it. And before we go, so it's early in the NBA season. You can't really take a lot out of, the first 2 weeks. I mean, I think we've played mostly 5-6 games. But one thing that is kind of apparent. So we know that there's rule changes. The rule changes with the whole quote-unquote flopping or trying to draw contact for the offensive player. That's changed. You've seen it affect players like Patrick Beverly. Usually an offensive player, the point guard, will stop and let someone run into him. That's a foul. They're not calling that anymore. Some of the top players that we're used to being offensively have struggled. Damian Lillard has struggled this year. James Harden has struggled this year. What's his name? Devin Booker has struggled this year. There have been players that we're used to being at the top level is struggling. And I do think that a lot of it is because of the rule change. I'm not saying that they're only good because of the rule change. I think that the rule change. Let's just speak on James Harden. Let's just speak for James Harden. Now, James Harden did say that this offseason he wasn't really able to train. One, because of the short, the short offseason. Two, was because of the hamstring injury. So he was mostly rehabbing, which I understand. I kind of believe, people don't understand rehab. I mean, hamstrings is not something to play with. Like, if you pop your hamstring, that can be months. So I understand that. But I also do think that James Harden gets a lot of his points by, drawing fouls, going to the foul line. While I don't think that that's the only reason why. There's no reason why you can get 60-point triple doubles only because you're getting to the foul line. That's just so. Let's dispel the fact that he's only good drawing fouls. I do think that is a big part of his game, and players like James, players like Damian Lillard are learning or have to now change their mindset and change the way that they attack the game because it's different. It's being called differently. You've seen multiple times where James Harden has tried to draw contact, and now they're not calling it when they used to would call. I think they said James Harden has like 15 free throws. 15 free throws in like 5 games. Which is, we're used to James Harden taking 5 to 6 free throws a game. So they only have 15 in 5 games is crazy. Or, I'm not going to say it's crazy, but it shows you that they're not calling that anymore. So I think that players like James Harden, players like Damian Lillard, that's used to thriving off getting contact, of course, James Harden more than Dame, you're starting to, they have to adapt. And I think that you're seeing struggles now, especially with James Harden and Kyrie not being there. So there's a lot more that's on his plate and Kevin Durant's plate. I just think that, it's going to take a minute. Now, let's wait to see what they look like towards the end of this, or towards the middle of the season, or the end of the season. Then we can assess, okay, has this rule change been a huge negative factor on James Harden, or players like Damian Lillard, players like Devin Booker, or, which I expect, are they going to change? Are they going to adapt? Are they going to improve? Because James Harden, there's no reason why James Harden and Damian Lillard made it on the NBA 75 team. While I may have my opinion about Damian Lillard being on the list, he made the list. Meaning there are people that think that he is a top 75 player ever. Meaning I don't expect him not to get it right. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's early in the season. Again, it's not even 10 games yet. So, but I will be naive. I'm not going to be naive and say that they're not struggling, because they definitely are struggling. And I just think it's, see what happens moving forward. So, we'll see how it is. But there you have it. That has been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, long sleeve, sweaters, joggers, the link is in the description below. It's starting to get cold, man. It's starting to get cold, and the wind is slapping people. So go get your hoodies, sweaters, long sleeve. Go get them today. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Whatever you want, I got. Hey, go get your merch today. Also, please subscribe, like, comment, share the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to get I want you to get the full experience of the Unpopular Podcast, whether that's clips, the visuals to every episode. So come to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment. If you leave a comment in the video, I respond. So hey, man, do that. Also, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And until next time, much love.